The antidote.
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 Y estás escuchando The Antidote.
The antidote.
The antidote.
The antidote.
You're listening to The Antidote with Dave Hawkins.
With Christian music that doesn't suck.
A brilliant artist who wants to change the nature of music created by Christians. That was Cherubim, which comes from the album Arrayed Above the Seraphim Lights by Even Oxen. This is The Antidote with Dave Hawkins, and thanks for tuning in. You know, I knew nothing about Bersain Beristain or Even Oxen until Josh, one of the regular listeners to The Antidote, suggested I check into this guy's music. And you know what? That's all it took to realize that Even Oxen really perfectly fits the tagline of this show, Christian music that doesn't suck. And tonight you'll find out why as we meet with Bersain, the creator of the music of Even Oxen. Enjoy. Bersain Beristain of Even Oxen joins The Antidote. Man, it's great to have you here.
Yeah, it's great to be here, man. Love your show.
Well, thanks. And I enjoy your music, and that's why you're here. You know, I got to find out something really important right at the start. Is there any relationship between you and the Berenstain Bears?
When I was a kid, we used to like AR reading points. If you got like a certain amount of points at the end of like the month, you could get like a cupcake or like another little prize. I read all the Berenstain Bear books when I was a kid, so I could get all like a cupcake at the end of like a year. But that's the only relationship I have with them.
Doesn't seem like much of a deal to get one cupcake for reading all those books. No,
it really wasn't. And then like sometimes I would watch the Harry Potter movies and then I'd go take the AR test for that, and I would fail them. So I thought I knew.
Yeah, the movie version's never the same as the book.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, well, now that we've covered off all of this formal literature, I want to get into about how you got into music. Did you feel driven to record as Even Oxen, or were you just looking at something being fun?
I guess it all started when I heard System of a Down when I was like 13 years old. They made me want to pick up a guitar. So I guess that's when I started writing music. And ever since then, I have just been kind of incorporating my faith into music. And as I've been growing and listening to different kinds of music, it's just been putting itself in there. But no, I guess I've never really thought like even Oxen was ever going to be a thing. Even my first EP, the 6 songs recorded on there took place over, I would say, like 4 or 5 years, and they were just demos that I would make for my friends occasionally. I guess like the time that 2015 hit, I just compiled it all together, and even Oxen just was kind of a name that was going through my head, and I thought I'd put it down as a legit thing.
Well, I think I'm probably going to end up asking all the questions that an interviewer is never supposed to ask.
No, feel free to, man.
Okay, so first off, I think I figured out where the name Even Oxen comes from, but it would be great if you could explain it to our listeners.
Well, Even Oxen is based off where Paul talks about being evenly yoked, like oxen.
Oh, good. So I did guess.
Is
that means I get the cupcake.
You get the cupcake, man. No, that's it. I chose Even Oxen because, like, any Christian who's like familiar with the New Testament will like automatically recognize. Like it's almost like universal. Well, when I grew up, all my friends already knew what it meant, and it's cool to know that like even you knew where it came from. Plus, I like the idea that it rolls off the tongue nicely.
Charms and lilies filling mine, while my soul tries to find comfort in your strong rod. But I don't deserve to know a God who gave his life to be poor, wanting to know me more. And for that, my dear King, forever, forever I will sing of when your heart's mine, pouring forth your divine spirit and the sunshine. Ooh, it's your love, keeping on. It's your love, keeping on. It's your love, keeping on. Savior, came and brought us glad tidings. All words past, he told us there's beyond us. Savior, came and brought us glad tidings. All the words past, he told us there's beyond us. Saying waters walk me, always brought us glad tidings. Trembles under the massive, oh, he told us there's beyond begins. Send out the guys from your throne, stay and draw us glad tidings. All the words, what more still told us there's all again. It's your love, keeping on. It's your love, keeping on. It's your love, keeping
I gotta be really honest. When I first heard Even Oxen, I really wasn't sure what to think. I mean, you've got this sort of unusual mix of style. It's sort of like Sufjan Stevens meets Neutral Milk Hotel. Was that what you were aiming for?
Well, I guess Sufjan and Neutral Milk Hotel weren't exactly the thing that was going on through my mind, but the thing with music isn't that, like I go in with an exact idea. It more so that my influences just kind of like seep out. I think it's great that you see like Sufjan and Neutral Milk Hotel because I love those guys so much, and they were the artists that I grew up with, and they were the ones that got me to expand my taste a little bit more. Because Sufjan, especially back in 2011, when I heard From the Mouth of Gabriel, I mean that song just changed my life. Like I didn't think of music the same way again. And then the year after that, when I listened to In the Aeroplane Over the Sea by Neutral Milk Hotel, I thought it was the most amazing thing ever. And I didn't even know that you could make music as diverse as like having influences from like traditional to punk and then even just to indie acoustic. And those guys, I mean, they really are an inspiration for everyone. And I'm so glad that they're enjoying their success right now because without them, I mean, I definitely don't think I'd sound the same. That's for sure. That's crazy that you know about Nuchimokotel. I think that's so awesome. I don't get to talk to many Christians who know about them. When it's not artists or my faith, my biggest influence is definitely got to be credited to the music board on 4chan. Because
4chan.
Yes. Oh, you heard of it?
I've been on 4chan before, and I went, I don't think I'm coming back anymore.
Oh, man. I don't blame anyone for taking that route. Because there are some phases on there that just can get a little dark. But the music board is a lot lighter in terms of like the themes and the discussion. But without them, I wouldn't be who I am today in terms of my music. Because I feel like there's no group online that loves music so much to the point that they're willing to like just debase it and like trash talk it completely. Because when it comes to their opinions, they have more of like an elitist kind of attitude. I mean, it produces some great things when they elevate the standards so high. And it's really what made me want to make sure that if I make something, not only do I want to make it something that like Christians will like, but I want it to be something that these guys will like too. That was like a huge inspiration to me to like kick it up a notch. And even Oxen wouldn't be the same if I didn't have their criticism and their love for music and their hate for music as well.
Lately, I've been a bit weary from the loss of color trailing off my eyes. Darling, your joy Jesus so good, passing by the robins. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Bears are blessed just to have you breathing in the mountains while we're thinking of you sweetly. Ooh, darling, take care of your own eyes. I wouldn't want them with it. Ooh, Jesus, Lord of all and Savior. Who alone finish my labor? Thank you for the friend you gave me. Let her live to see the great King. Be far, but keep thinking of me while we're living our lives. Tell me how your love's improving. Ooh, be far, but keep thinking of me while we're living our lives. Tell me how your love's improving. Ooh, Jesus, Lord of all and Savior. Who alone finished my labor? Thank you for the friend you gave me.
covered off the easy part of your music. You know, the part that really messes with me is when you add in these totally chaotic elements. Like on your self-titled release, I read the song title Pasture Grazing, and I was sort of expecting, something light and melodic. And I mean, it starts that way with you reciting Psalm 100, but then it explodes with noise. Why did you want it to take that direction?
Okay, so the year before I released the EP is when I really got pushed into experimental music. Like I said earlier, Sufjan and Chumagotel, they expanded my taste to include more variety. But it wasn't until I heard Merzbow's Pulse Demon. I didn't know about noise music until then. I was reading Pitchfork a lot during those time, and when they covered Merzbow's Pulse Demon, I'd never heard about it. So when I checked it out, I didn't understand it at first because I'd never heard anything like it, and I didn't understand that there was a whole scene dedicated to noise. It wasn't until I listened to this album by Christopher Forgues. He's a Rhode Island noise artist, and he made this album back in the early 2000s called Royal Paint with the Metallic Gardener. It's actually a really long title. That's just the first few words. I don't know if you're familiar with noise, but a lot of the scene it circles around dark topics. Most noise artists, I would say, they feel more comfortable including the darker subjects of the world. But Christopher Forgues, he would make music as under the name Kites, and his noise music was the first time that I'd heard a noise artist try to pull beauty out of it. And it really shone out to me because the album cover itself, it has all these kids running with balloons and they're super happy. And even the music itself, it's noisy, but it has themes like staring at the sun. Staring at the sun is painful, but I don't know. There's just something nice about being out in the sun. To make a long story short, when I heard that album, that's what inspired me to want to pull the beauty of noise into something that I could make. And I guess that's where Pasture Grazing comes from, because Christ's death is extraordinarily gruesome, but it is incredibly beautiful too. And I felt like that was one way that I could reconcile the sound of harsh noise and a theme of beauty.
Worship the Lord with gladness. Come before him singing with joy. Acknowledge that the Lord is God. He made us and we are his. We are his people, the sheep of his pasture. Enter his gates with thanksgiving. Go into his court with praise. Give thanks to him and praise his name. For the Lord is good. His unfailing love continues forever, and his faithfulness continues to each generation. Psalm 100.
You never thought that a lawnmower could be used as a musical instrument, but that's it there on Pasture Grazing, which may not be to everyone's taste, but stick with us. This is some really interesting music. Each of the Even Oxen releases finds you sharing your faith about God, and it all seems so positive. Are there no tough times?
Well, I think it's funny because people always say that my music sounds comfy and that it sounds happy. I'm so surprised to hear this, because when I make those songs, they actually come out of a more sadder part. And I'm really surprised that it comes out that way to other people. It just shows how different things can appear to everyone else. But for one thing, the title track, Right Above the Seraphim Lights, the whole song is on. If you just took it down verse by verse, it's actually a little, I don't know, not self-loathing, but deals way more with sin in my life. How I could never actually love anyone if I'm not with God. Besides God, I can't love anyone. I'm going back to that verse, like, we don't know God, then we can't love anyone because God is love. Even Luma just has me like yearning for God, and it's not really like a happy thing. Like when I made that song, it really was just like, Jesus, why does the wait have to be so long? You know, like why do we have to be in this world and suffer? Yeah, when I'd rather just be home with you. Really, when I look at my music, I don't really see the happiness. But I guess I feel the same way when it comes to Pet Sounds by the Beach Boys. I mean, it's an album that's just like the music and the melody sound so happy, but if you just looked at the lyrics, it's a little depressing.
It's true about your music being that way. You've got that negative aspect, but that begins it. And most I've been finding you've sort of got a resolution at the end of it. And that brings it up.
You know, you're right about that, actually. I forget how my music goes sometimes. This is terrible. But yeah, no, I guess you're right. I guess the resolution is the thing that just puts that silver lining on it. I don't know. So now I guess it makes more sense. I don't know. I need to listen to my music more often. Hey, I'm Bersain Beristain, and you're listening to Even Oxen on The Antidote.
Jesus, my Lord, falling away wasn't so long, wasn't so long. Even if your spirit would stay and sing me a song, sing me a song. Spirit does draw near, bringing gifts I'm filled with you, holding of you, that's misconstrued, often by how I feel. If I'm cold, if I am spirit, don't let go, for I'm in need of being free from these kingdoms. Jesus, my Lord, falling away wasn't so long, wasn't so long. Even if your spirit would stay and sing me a song, sing me a song. It's on high, God to worship and glorify on you are. So please bring out your kind, patient your denial of pride, and lead me by the eye. We say Sing me a song. song.
We spoke about pasture grazing coming from your self-titled release, Even Oxen, the EP that came out just last year. Debuts have got to be the most difficult thing to put together. So how did you approach it? Because you did mention that it was a collection that you've sort of put together over a few-year period.
Well, even me, when I was like going through my laptop and like looking back at the songs that I could salvage. Well, originally I had these songs that were in my computer back in California. That's where I grew up recording them, anyways. And one day it was just dusty, and my parents tried to clean out the computer, and so they just like crashed it, and I couldn't like retrieve any of the songs. So the only songs that made it from that computer were the 5 songs besides Pasture Grazing. And Pasture Grazing was the one that I wrote in 2014. And kind of like I really didn't have much of a choice when it came to that, because those were the only ones that survived from the time that I grew up.
From the debut EP from Even Oxen comes Always on Mind.
Take your time and always see the beauty in the sky. If you're washed out, go and love your best and take your time. Sometimes there's change, but it doesn't mean you shouldn't try. Know that you are always, always, always on my mind. The memories I kept are covered in snow. I've retraced my footsteps and I won't let go. The memories I kept are covered in snow. I've retraced my footsteps and I won't let go.
This year you brought out your full-length, Arrayed Above the Seraphim Lights. Talk about the recording and how you produce your music, because, I mean, it's really unusual, and at times it even comes across as being a bit lo-fi.
Yeah, well, I recorded the album, like, using my phone. And
using your phone to record? You're
Yeah.
serious?
It's not something I would recommend. It was the most stressful, like, recording thing I've ever done. Because, like I said, up to that point, I'd never thought about taking music seriously. And I'd never tried to do, like, a session where I would say, okay, I've got these songs. I'm going to get them all done within this time frame. And then I'm going to put it out. And honestly, it was only stressful because of the equipment that I had, which was, like, really limited. But to answer your question, I recorded it using my phone and using my laptop, but I didn't have a microphone. So I would have to record with the microphone on the laptop. It's just between those two sources.
That sounds brutal to do.
Yeah. And especially to add on top of that, like, I didn't have any Wi-Fi at my house during that time. So what I would have to do occasionally, I would have to like record on my laptop. And this laptop is like old. It's like super old. And it would let me record like one track. So I would record one track, whether it just be like a guitar or like me singing with it. But then after that, like, you couldn't record over it and add new layers because it would then start lagging, and anything that you recorded, you'd find like portions of it cut out. So like you'd lose like a few seconds of recording in random spots. So that's when I would have to like press play on my laptop and then record with my phone. And then I would record all the parts and I'd bring it to like a Starbucks and use their Wi-Fi to send the stems to my email. And then from my email, I'd have to convert the files. And then after that, I could piece it all together. So it was just like incredibly stressful and tedious. And I think I would have been able to do a lot more if I wasn't limited with that. But by the end of it, like on the day that I finished recording the album, I was just completely done. I didn't want to work on it anymore. I kind of hated the album actually afterwards.
You're going to make a great dad because you must have so much patience.
Oh man, I can only hope so, man.
with you. With you. Oh.
The title track from Right Above the Seraphim Lights. And let's hear some more of our talk with Even Oxen. This brings up something else then. What about instrumentation? I mean, some of it is hard to make out.
Well, the instrumentation is really simple, actually. Most of the album is done with guitar, and when I'm not doing guitar and singing, the percussion was made using a water jug that was filled with coins, and I'd get different sounds by beating on it with different stuff, whether it be like a spoon or a big thing that I use a lot in the album was this potato masher. So I would like just beat on that. Let's see, I have this keyboard, so that's how I would use the keyboard for it. And that's the recorder. I mean, the instruments really aren't that much. Kaya, my friend, like she allowed me to use her cello recording that she made back in 2014, and to me, that's my favorite song off the album because I thought she did so wonderfully with that. I just added like the piano and the percussion on top of it.
That's such a pretty track. Kaya's Connectinville.
Yeah, I tell her that all the time. She's actually going to university in Hawaii, so I can't actually like ask her to collaborate with us down here and perform. But one of my hopes is that we can do that eventually. It would be really cool to feature that song. We haven't done that song live yet.
Okay, then talk about a live show. What is it like?
Oh, it's terrible, man. I wouldn't recommend it. Like, there's just so much about performing that I have no idea. And I gave it a few tries, but I will tell you what it has been like so far. I have my brother, I'm like thankful to God that he's into my music because he's like always willing to help me out with anything, whether I need a guitarist or a bassist or a percussionist. He does it all, and he's so talented. So I'm just really thankful for him. On the other side, I've also my friend Jose, who I met down here in Houston, and he's also a multi-instrumentalist. I can tell him to play anything and improvise, and he can like knock it out immediately and get exactly what I want. The only problem I feel like on my end, anyways, playing live is really like my equipment, which is the same thing that I had for my recording process. But whenever we played a show, it's always just been us three. Or if it's not us three, it's just me solo. And we kind of changed instruments. We actually changed instruments a lot. Like we'll go from playing guitar to like playing percussion or playing piano because there's just too many parts on one song to perform it all. So we just kind of work around it.
obviously you've got my attention, especially with the new album, Arrayed Above the Seraphim Lights. One of the songs that really got me, that I think is just a beautiful track, is My, My, My. Do you want to share about that?
Yeah, My is actually a song that was being written back in 2010. So it's been a couple of years. My writing style definitely is pretty enduring, because like a lot of these songs have been sitting around in my head for a few years. And so anyways, My is pretty much a love song. Straightforward. It has much more to do with like a humanly love than any of the other tracks on the album. I just tried to write down stuff that I would write down if I was making a love song for somebody.
You're certainly going to win, especially on the final line when you say, "My, you're looking lovely. My, your gaze distracts me. My love, it's yours to keep." Oh man, you've got that girl. She's going to say, "Yeah, you're mine forever too."
Man, it's just so funny, like to hear that, because most of my songs are pretty like worship, and then we have like that track, and it's not very often that I make love songs, just because I feel more comfortable singing about my faith with Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel a little better knowing that Song of Solomon made it into the Bible, and that's pretty much a love book. I use that a little bit as like something to fall back on, at least when I think I'm being a little too teasy.
So why is it that you feel that you are more comfortable just sharing about your faith versus relationships?
Well, my faith is something that I feel might be able to like help another believer, because for one thing, I don't think that there's enough experimental worship music out there. I think there are great worship artists. I love Phil Wickham, and actually I really like Chris Tomlin too. Those guys, I feel like they're like great songwriters, and they're not something that I feel like we should ignore. But I do wish that we would have more experimental worship artists. Like Half-Handed Cloud is like got to be in like top 3 favorite bands ever, and everything that pours out of that guy's mouth is just like Bible verse or some kind of thing alluding like either straight worship or just preaching straight from the Bible. And I really look up to that, because music is such a universal thing, but when you can tie it with the most universal being, God, to me, it's just like the most beautiful combination you can make in like art. I feel more comfortable like making more of something that isn't out there. I'd like to see more experimental worship artists, that's for sure.
I don't see any of it happening.
It'll catch on, man. That's the next big genre, 2017.
And you
You know, something I had to Google was one song title, Your Baileys of Water, off of a raid above the Seraphim Lights. And I found that Baileys meant the outer walls of a castle. Or at least I'm assuming that you were actually talking about that and not about Bailey's Irish Cream. Because, you know, most Even Oxen songs lyrically are pretty straightforward, but not that one. What's it all about?
Well, Your Bellies of Water is exactly like that. I just used like the imagery of the outer walls of a castle, but like of water. So I'm talking about the clouds. So it's like as if the clouds were the outer walls of God's kingdom, which is like, I mean, obviously, like, it's just clouds, you know, but moving from California to Texas, the biggest difference that you'll see is like the amount of clouds in the sky, because it never rains in California. and over in Texas, it just pours, man. Like, pours to the point that there's flooding yearly. Yeah, I guess, yeah. So when I moved there in 2013, I mean, it just struck me as like amazing, and yeah, that's really where it comes from. That is funny though, because everyone has to Google that. I've heard that so many times now. I didn't realize that it was maybe like that's been a little lost in the English language.
Well, you did include that too on the other song, Connectant.
Oh, what does that mean again?
That's it. Okay, you answered my question. Now that I know what Bailey's means, I can definitely say we didn't have any Baileys of water happening here in southern Ontario this summer. Way too hot and dry. Well, if Even Oxen has you wanting more music, you can find both of Bersain's releases by searching for Even Oxen on Bandcamp. And before we head back to more of his music, I want to fill you in about next week's episode when we visit with Greg Freeman, who performs as the Quiet Entertainer. He'll take the Antidote in a different direction as we look at the music scene from an electronic hip-hop ambient music producer's eyes. And we also get to spend a lot of time talking about our mutual love for the band Mute Math. It is time to finish up the Antidote. Here's more of our talk with Even Oxen and the song Beauty and Bonds. And we'll see you next time. So you talk about your music illustrating your faith and also being experimental. So I guess that's meaning that you're not really planning on having your music played on Christian Top 40 radio.
Oh man, Dave, that is a depressing thought.
It is, isn't it?
Because I would love to make a song that could hit the top 40. I mean, do you know who Swans are?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so their 2014 album To Be Kind is incredible, and it's incredible because it is so noisy. And but they made it in top 40. I mean, they charted. Man, if Swans could do it, there might be a hope for Even Oxen. I don't know about Christian radio though. I mean, my hope is that one day I could be able to write a song that would be good enough for them, because I feel like it's such a different crowd. And like I said, I'm not trying to knock on the popular Christian artists, because I have a lot of respect for the Christian artists that have maintained their popularity and continue to climb charts even in the secular realm, like Switchfoot and even for King and Country. I really respect those guys because it's not easy making a charting pop song. They make it look so easy, and I hear it so often that it sucks, but it's not easy. I wish I could do it, man, but all I really have is experimental music at the moment. I'd love to do. I mean, I'd love to be able to make it charting. Just give me the blueprints, man, and I'll do it.
Bersain, this has been really cool. Thanks for bringing the music of Even Oxen to the Antidote.
Oh yeah, my pleasure, man. I've enjoyed being able to talk to you, and I can't wait to keep hearing more from your show. And it's an honor just to even be featured on here.
Beauty in the love that only God gives, love that lets the broken truly forgive and sets free. I once found a choice land outside, but morals stirred my stomach, my mind. I ate meat. I saw your eyes once starry night. It would sing more than beware. I linked to see my own memory. God is good on me. I try, but I have a home where I'm bound, I'm set free. I saw